To cheat or not to cheat? That is the question. And hopefully the answer is somewhere in this video. There's going to be 7 factors on whether or not you should cheat your reps. So the first one is going to be, can you do the movement strictly without cheating? If you cannot do the movement strictly, you have no business cheating. So if you're a complete beginner, you're new to the gym, and you just are still learning the movements, just learn the movements. Do them textbook, strictly, the right way. Plus, as a beginner, you're so sensitive to training that the stimulus is so novel that you don't need to do cheat reps. You don't even need to go close to failure as a beginner. Just the very act of doing normal, somewhat hard sets, that new stimulus is going to be enough to grow and get stronger. So if you don't need cheat reps, don't do them. Next would be that you have the ability to use cheating while still targeting the muscles that you want to target, particularly if you're interested in hypertrophy. If you're interested in strength or power, that's sort of a slightly different thing. Cheating can have value in terms of increasing your force production and your power production. But if you're interested in hypertrophy, when you are cheating, you need to make sure that you are still activating and engaging the correct muscles. So for example, on 47.5 kilos on a curl, I can do that very strictly. If I go up to 57.5, I need to cheat, but I can still engage the correct muscles. I can still cheat slightly, but I'm still engaging the biceps at the bottom, and I'm still finishing with the biceps at the top. If I go up to like 67.5 kilos, it suddenly just looks like shit. And the biceps is no longer even being engaged. It's like a very strange power clean, and I'm actually getting less out of the movement in terms of hypertrophy. So if you cheat, make sure it's slight, not so drastic that you're actually putting less tension on the muscles that you're trying to target. And usually for any given exercise, there will be a weight you can do strictly, a weight you can do with a little bit of cheating, and then a weight you can do only with a massive amount of cheating. That third category usually is not worth doing. Your risk of injury almost certainly goes up, and you're not really getting more out of it. You're getting less out of it with more risks. So at that point, that is where you are almost certainly ego lifting. So take that out of the equation and stick to either strict reps or slightly cheated. Number 3, safety. Now this one is super important, but also a little bit individual. I've had people criticize my technique, saying that I was cheating or that I'm gonna snap my shit up or that I'm gonna get hurt, but they didn't realize that this is somewhat individual. Some people might get away with some stuff that other people would get injured. So know yourself. For example, if I'm leaning back slightly on curls, my midsection is still engaged, my glutes are still tight, and I'm actually keeping good positioning. Whereas someone else, it might look very, very similar, but they might get a lower back issue because they are not braced. They are maybe leaning back at the lumbar rather than the hips. So one is like this, yeah, that can actually snap your shit up. The other is from a slightly different place, and they are completely different in how they feel and how the body tolerates it. So it's going to be somewhat individual, and it's also going to be which positions that you can get into. Generally speaking, if you use leg drive or hip drive to get the bar moving, it's okay. So if you use, a shrug and you're sort of like going like this a little bit, it's okay. Or if you're using a lateral raise and you're using a little bit of momentum that way. But if you are using lower back, you're actually like rounding and unrounding your spine in order to generate momentum using the spinal erectors more actively, that can definitely add up. And I would say that is really not suitable for anyone. Number 4, you can make a set easier or harder based on how you cheat. So let's say you are doing a set of 10. If the 10th rep is not near failure, you still have 2, 3, 4 reps in reserve, and then you start cheating, you are actually making the set easier because you are avoiding failure by using other muscles. On the other hand, let's say you genuinely go to failure at rep 10, and then you start cheating very slightly, just enough to keep the set going. So all of these reps are still very challenging and very effective for the muscles that you are trying to target. This makes the set more difficult and more stimulatory. Neither are necessary, but one is going to be productive, the other one's not going to be productive. Number 5, you should control the eccentric. If you are cheating the weight up and then just letting it drop, that is absolutely not good for 2 reasons. First, you're avoiding the eccentric, and that is a big part of why you are cheating the movement in the first place. You help with the concentric, you get a little bit of momentum or a little bit of assistance with some other muscle group.
What we have to do now is get him moving correctly, initiating this movement with his hips.
Drive up against my hip. Push up hard. Real hard. That's how you
Curl.
do that again. Drive your ass up out of the bottom, see? That's how hip drive is initiated.
And then you control the eccentric using just the muscle that you want to target. This is beneficial because heavier eccentrics are extremely stimulatory for muscle growth. Second, if you are avoiding the eccentric and you're just letting the whole weight drop down to the bottom position, you're getting a whole bunch of force at a position that can cause injury. Okay, so make sure you control that eccentric. I suggest 2 or even 3 seconds. After all, you're working hard to get the weight up. Don't just get rid of that benefit by letting it drop. Plus, you're causing more risks. So it's less reward and more risk. Not a good idea. Sixth, it's going to be better for slightly higher reps. For a lot of these movements that you can cheat on, curls, lateral raises, shrugs, that kind of thing, maybe flies, you lower with a slightly wider position, and then you bench press it up to the start, that kind of thing. A lot of these movements are not suitable for lower reps anyway. Bent over rows as well, I would never do like a single or a double. Okay, I have done a single or a double with bent over rows, but it's not smart. Typically speaking, for most rowing movements and just pulling movements in general, I would say 6 reps and up is going to be the way to go. And if you're using like heavy singles and you're cheating it up and then trying to control it, that's where you get hurt. So if you do 1 strict rep and then 5 cheated reps with a super heavy weight, not a good idea. But if you do, let's say 10 or 12 or 15 strict reps, and then a few cheated reps at the end, cheating just enough to get in the reps, that is a very, very nice risk to reward ratio. Number 7, this makes progressive overload and tracking your lifting over time a little bit more tricky. If you always use strict standardized reps, it becomes very, very easy to track your progress. Okay, I did 10 reps with a certain weight last week. Now I did 12 with the same exact strict standardized form. Well, you got better, you got stronger, and you are probably on the path to building muscle. However, if you do 10 strict reps plus 5 cheat reps this week, and then you do, 6 cheat reps next week, are they just more cheated? Did you rest a little bit longer in between each cheated rep? Like, there are more factors at play, and it becomes really difficult to actually track your progress. If you do 10 plus 5, is that 10 in your training log? Is it 15? Do you write 10 plus 5? How much did you cheat per rep? It just becomes a lot more difficult to actually see if you're making progress. Number 8, a bonus factor, be prepared for other people to tell you that you're wrong if you use cheat reps. I've gotten a good deal of criticism over the past couple of years. Just people see like a cheated row and they're like, you should keep strict form. What are you doing? You're ego lifting. Well, not necessarily. A lot of these people don't actually have a lot of experience with lifting. Anyone who has been lifting for a while knows the difference between acceptable cheating and bad cheating. And, the beginners are usually the loudest ones, the ones who leave all the stupid comments. So especially if you're on social media and you're doing cheat reps, be prepared to have to explain this stuff over and over again. It's a pain in the ass. Often it's a waste of time, but it's sort of part of the social media thing. So if you can't check all of these 8 factors, including the last one, but especially the safety factor, how many cheat reps should you do?
0. You won't pay a fine because as I said in our last debate, and I'll repeat, John, I exempt small
lifters. Yeah, that about sums it up. All right, that's all for this video. Like, subscribe, diddle that notification button so that you decide what you watch, not the YouTube algorithm. And I will see all y'all in the next video. Peace.